So we'll just start by doing a quick, round of intros. So I think to begin with, I'll introduce myself and then we can go around. So hi everyone, I'm Shrey Keni. I'm a student in Goa, India, and I'm studying IT engineering. And I'm also one of the co-makers of a website called coronatracker.in, which helps you track the outspread of the coronavirus in India. And we also provide a bunch of stats and other useful information. And I work at Aditya Mitra Mandal. And just a brief intro of the speakers. We have with us Mr. Mons Abraham. Mr. Mons, can you maybe wave? Okay, and Mr. Mons is the founder at Theft Consulting, and he works closely with leading entrepreneurs and business leaders around the world. We have Ms. Radha Savana with us. Radha, maybe you can wave. Thanks a lot. Radha leads strategy and new initiatives at Udyam Learning Foundation, and she's one of the key coordinators of the Startups versus COVID initiative. And she also, and Uddam is an organization that helps young people and micro entrepreneurs. We have Sana Srivastava with us. Maybe you can wave, Sana. Thank you. Sana is a social entrepreneur over at My Story, and she has also appeared in numerous TV commercials and TV series. And we also have Aditi Gupta with us. Aditi, you can wave. Thanks a lot. Aditi works with Crowdera as Associate Director of Sales and Marketing, and has also been supporting organizations with outreach, communication, marketing, and sales. She also works closely with a bunch of non-profit organizations. To begin with, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, there was a lot of chaos and a lot of desperation among the people. A lot of families did not have resources and groceries to survive on. Daily wage workers were hit the hardest, and also there was a sense of fear that people might contract this virus about which we did not know much. So during these times, a bunch of volunteers, entrepreneurs, and people from the startup ecosystem came together to form what is known as the Startups versus COVID initiative. And they worked together on coming up with a bunch of solutions and recommendations and ways they can go about on curbing COVID-19. So to begin with, I'd like to ask you guys, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience when the lockdown was when the lockdown was imposed, and how did you go about getting started with this initiative and getting involved with this project? So I think we can start with Monch.
Thanks, Shrey. We were obviously aware of the Startups versus COVID initiative, getting on with a couple of things, and gradually, more people started getting on board the initiative, and I happened to join in after some time, and I think it was one of the calls when we were just trying to brainstorm with respect to some of the solutions and some of the things as to how you can work around some of the challenges that the group was facing. That we all happened to discuss about food and the challenges which were seen and expected around hunger and poverty in India. So a couple of us just thought that why don't we just come together and see if we can fix the demand supply part of it. Because demand part, we obviously knew that there were definitely people who were facing issues in terms of hunger, and there was the migrant movement which was happening. We were pretty much aware of it, and at the same time we were aware that there were like really good organizations out there who were active on the ground and helping with the relief part of it. So we said if we are able to just figure out where exactly these relief partners are operating, and see if we were to then kind of figure out if we were able to just match the demand with a relief partner nearby, somewhere nearby them, on a pin code basis, or even nearby basis, then we might be able to just make it more efficient and much more easier to get relief. And that was where the basic idea came forward. I'll allow other panel members to just share their thoughts at their views and how we got this going.
Yeah, Aditi, how about you? What was your experience during the lockdown when it was enforced, and how did you go about being a part of this initiative?
So at Crowdera, what we have done is we have opened up our premium technology for NGOs and for individuals to raise funds at zero cost. So as Crowdera, we work on the freemium model, wherein we charge for some of the services and some of the premium features that we have developed on our portal, which you won't find on any other fundraising website. and everyone who's raising funds for COVID can raise funds for COVID on our platform for free, and also make use of our services and our premium features at zero cost. So that's what we did. This also includes corporates who are interested in raising funds for COVID and donating money as part of their CSR activities, right? So that's happening from our end, and we saw a splurge of NGOs and individuals looking to raise funds. In fact, few minutes back, I was on an Insta live with Dr. Amit Samarth, who cycled for 48 hours and raised funds on Crowdera to donate to the Maharashtra Police Force, and he raised about 2 lakhs in just about 48 hours. Similarly, we had Annapurna, we had Samarpana is still raising funds on our platform. They're doing quite well. We have Dehat Foundation, which is raising funds and is supported by Katrina Kaif. A bunch of film stars as well who have come forward to support a lot of these fundraisers. So that's what is happening at our end in terms of COVID-19.
That's interesting. I think technology played quite a big role in the COVID-19 pandemic, and crowdfunding platforms like Crowdera definitely helped a lot of people. Sana, how about you? What was your experience like during the pandemic when the lockdown was imposed, and how did you go about being a part of this initiative?
So I was just saying that there was not just even a single day that I stayed at home in lockdown. I was all on ground and I was working the distribution part actually, because I run an NGO which forms a youth organization. And where we go used to teach, underprivileged people at slums. We started getting calls from them because they were migrants, right? So we started from them, and day by day we were getting so many demands from demand side that we need ration here and there. But what we lack is with supply needs. So what we do is we have nothing in our hand. Like I approach as many as people I just know about it. But least what we can do is we have just gathered money from our family and friends and just able to make it happen anyhow. And then somehow I just messaged in our Niti Aayog group. I remember that I need support from other people, and I just got a message from Mons that he's going to start something, a startup versus COVID kind of a thing. And then I met him, and then this is the whole thing happened. I think this is the best idea where we can just collaborate and come forward to help people as much as we can.
Definitely. I think doing it as a community is definitely a multiplier, and initiatives like Startup versus COVID are a testament to the same.
Yeah.
How about you, Radha?
Hi. My involvement started when we started looking at some of the data which we were getting on our helplines. So Startups versus COVID group has been instrumental in setting up helplines for a lot of state governments, and a lot of calls that we received there were food. So when we started this initiative about a month and a half back, we realized that about 30% of the calls were actually calls for food and not calls for medical help or calls for calls for COVID even. They were all for food. And so we thought that from a customer standpoint, this was the this was the biggest problem out there, and we had to pick it up. At the same time, I started talking to Kuldeep about Kuldeep from Reap Benefit about what their efforts were in COVID, and they said that they would like to work with us on providing a platform which allows us to collect local demand for food and also find local supply sources of food. And that's when Mons and I started talking about how we could bring existing technology platforms and existing data together to solve this problem better. And like you said, right, technology has been at the crux of this problem for us.
Yeah. So we've talked a bit about the Startup versus COVID initiative. I think I'd like to focus on that now. So can you tell us a bit specifically more about how the Startup versus COVID initiative, from its inception to where it is at now, and what the plans for the future are for this initiative? I think we can start with you, Radha, on this one.
Got it. So the Startups versus COVID group started initially as this thought that yes, the battle against COVID is a battle to be fought by specialists, government specialists, healthcare specialists, and so on. But there is a big role that generalists like us can play, right? So we are people who understand technology, people who understand data, and in general, we are good managers of like big programs and projects. And there is a role for people like us as well to play in helping supplement the efforts of governments and healthcare professionals. So, it started as a bunch of startups coming together, and eventually it spiraled into 1,000 plus volunteers joining on a Telegram group and coming up bottom up with their own initiatives that they wanted to focus on. So, some like a group of people came together and set up a healthcare telehelpline for Karnataka. With its success, then they started talking to other governments and have now set up helplines with 11 different states. There were a bunch of people who started working on how we could quickly set up quarantine centers and equip them over a week or two. That government worked with Delhi for some time, worked with Karnataka State, St. John's Hospital for some time, and is still open. The solution is open for adoption by whoever wants to take it. We then also, like another team, set up a PPE matching Telegram group where anybody who wanted PPEs could come and raise a request, and there were a bunch of suppliers who could supply the PPEs.
Mm-hmm.
So like similarly, there were about like such 10 like 5 to 10 odd initiatives which we initially started with. Some of these like the telehelpline and even the food group that we have here have been going on for a while now and have started seeing a lot of traction. There's some groups where we tried out a pilot with a couple of people and the solution is out in the open domain. So for example, another group created a solution where we could use drones for monitoring and announcements. This was used by the Mysore and the Mangalore police commissioners in monitoring curfews in like the hotspot areas as well as sending out announcements in the hotspot areas. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
since then we've been looking for funding to fund these initiatives, but like the solutions exist. So that's how the Startup versus COVID group has been functioning. At this point, the focus is on scaling the initiatives which are seeing scale. So like the food group is still working on how they could scale their efforts and move to bigger partnerships. The step one team, which is the helpline team, is focusing on how to get more state governments onboarded. Right, there is another team which like another group which is formed by some members of the Startups versus COVID community, which has gone to funding. So there's a team called Ag Grants, which is looking largely at how to fund some of the initiatives within the Startup versus COVID group as well as outside it. So that's where we are now. I guess, yeah, it's difficult to say what we will be doing a month from now because frankly the situation changes every month and we adapt to it. Uh, and that's where we are.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, have foresight in this case because, as you mentioned, it's quite unpredictable.
Yeah.
Mons, I'd like to ask you, the Startup versus COVID initiative, it has a lot of sub-initiatives within it, and one of those initiatives is the food group. So I'd like to ask you, what are the challenges that you're facing with the food group at the moment?
So first of all, I definitely want to give a shout out to all the supply partners who've come on board. So we currently have 50 plus relief partners who've been kind enough to sign up and come on board the platform at the moment. One thing we realized even when we were reaching out to them and just trying to understand how they were working, how we could probably be of some assistance to them, is that they've been at work for almost 3 months now. So March 24th was when the lockdown was announced, and March 25th, a lot of them, not even non-profits, but community volunteers, they had stepped up and tried to do the fundraising, tried to arrange food and get the food across to everyone. And the resources are running out right now. So the challenges we foresee is that even as we try to get all the private players to come together, everyone from the startup sector, and whenever we can have the right kind of partnerships, at some point in time we do know for sure that we will exhaust the resources which are there. And at that point in time, we might have to look towards the government, which has the maximum resources in terms of food grains, in terms of systems, processes, distribution, and other things. And that's what we foresee. And I'll open this up to other panelists right now.
Yeah, Aditi, do you have something to add to this as a representative from Crowdera as a platform? What are the challenges that you see for initiatives like the food initiative of the startup versus COVID group? What are the challenges that you see for it?
So the food initiative, the biggest challenge, or I think what is going to happen in the coming few days, if the economy doesn't open up and people don't get back to work, there will be a whole lot of us who will be looking for food, right? uh, and it is not a very happy situation for the next 3 to 4 months at least. And we are definitely trying to see how we can help everyone in the best possible manner. The government has a lot of money, and I hope they utilize it in the right manner, especially with all the PM cares fund, which has raised all the money in the last couple of months. But yeah, food and basic necessities is just going to be a nightmare for a lot of us. So yeah, we should try and see how we can help people around us who who seem to be having problems. And even if it means that we are supporting our own staff members, so if it is our own house help, our drivers, our cooks, or the sanitization workers outside in our societies, uh, giving starts from home, like this is. So any penny will help, I guess, at this during this pandemic. So yeah.
Mhm. Sana, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Aditi. Sana, I'd like to ask you, when the COVID-19 lockdown happened and you went about distributing food to various people, as you mentioned, who are in need of groceries, and you partnered with initiatives like Zomato's Feeding India initiative and so on. So, like, can you share a bit about that experience and what challenges you see for this initiative in particular?
Okay, so first of all, it is actually a big challenge for a particular NGO to get collaboration with and get fundings for, right? Because as we see, there are a hell lot of NGOs working right now in COVID-19 situation. So the same happened with us as well. Initially, we started with our family and friends, but then when we actually, trying to collaborate with, for example, Zomato Feeding India, I would say I think that's the best organization I have ever seen, because they have just responded us. I mean, as soon as we thought for, and except from that, it is actually just as I mean, ma'am said that it's actually a tough situation for us to raise funds for. And right now, actually, we are getting so many queries for people right now that we are in need of food. We need ration here and there. Even not the ration, they need dairy products as well for their children, right? Because there are many families who are, who haven't even had milk since 2 months, just the starting of this COVID-19. So I think for that part, I would say no government is helping. Let me just clear out that, because I have tried as much as I can. No government officials are, I mean, helping right now. And for the collaboration part, I think maximum organization have used up their CSR fundings as well.
Yeah.
And what we are left with is just the individuals like me, like Mons, giving up their time to actually get out with that result of how we can, just take out that funding from us, or take out that idea from us, to how we can help people. So I think, I mean, exceptionally relying on corporates or even the government, we individuals should made up this idea which we are actually working on. And I think through that, we can just help people.
I'd like to ask this to all of you. I think either any one of you can pitch in on this. What lies next for this project? Where do you guys see this project headed in the next 2 to 5 months?
So at this point in time, I mean, like, we've just started with a couple of pilots in Delhi and Maharashtra. The aim is definitely to, see if we can, just facilitate, because, quite a few of us bring forward some capabilities, we bring forward our organizations, we bring forward our networks, wherein we're just trying to ensure that, can we just, in terms of, demand and supply matching, can we do that? Second, we do realize that resources are being exhausted. So we are working on a plan to see how we can assist with fundraising, and there are some partnerships. We can't share them right now because it's yet to be signed off, but we're working on a couple of things. At this point in time, the basic idea is, if we have, say, more relief partners working on the ground, and they're trying to, just become a bit more efficient in terms of, finding out, the people in need, and, just trying to, get a couple more resources on board. I think it's a good idea to come together and, collaborate and, make a couple of things happen. As I shared, as rightly shared by, I think, Aditi, the corporates also, the corporate funding or any of the other fundings, we can only sustain for so long. I think one of the reports which came in was 139 million people will be, exhausting their savings, the normal savings which they have by the end of this month, which is June. It's hardly 7 days from now, and that's 10% of India's population. If we add in the organized part of it, unorganized part of it, that's we're looking at close to 50 to 60% of the population without anything. So we can try to help them. We can definitely try, but unless and until we really do this at scale, and we have some say help from the government, we are more than happy to assist where we can, and we are opening up this opportunity to say that we are here. We have some capabilities, some resources, some ways to figure out ways to make things work. And we would love to work with as many supply partners, students, professionals, non-profits, especially the relief partners out there. And if government officials out there, we'd love to hear from you, see if we can be of any assistance, and just make use of whatever capabilities and things we bring to the table.
Thank you, Mons. Would any of the other speakers like to add anything to that?
No, I think Mons has put it very well. Nothing from my end.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so the next thing that I think everyone would be wondering about, since we have a diverse crowd of both students and professionals, how can the audience join in this initiative? How can they help out? Anyone can take this up.
Just I said, I think as many as people would join this initiative, as many as people we can help for. I think that's the best idea we can do that right now. So, for example, if for me as a student, I would love to give my part to it. I have 50 more volunteers, 50 more interns working with me. They are also from the same background. Same as, Radha would be having their own community, same as Moons would be having their own group of community. And if we can all collaborate, come up with this thing, I think we can help as many as people out there in need of food.
Very true, Sana. Aditi, would you like to add anything about how the people can join in and help out in this initiative?
Yeah, I think I mentioned some part of it in the past, that charity begins from home, right? Giving begins from home. So start supporting people you see nearby who need help, and yeah, I mean, reach out to us if you feel that there is I mean, this is the initiative you want to contribute to and make a larger impact, and we'll be happy to find out ways in which we could involve you.
Yeah, Mr. Mons?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? So the basic expectation is, if you feel that this is something that you would like to pitch in with, this is definitely going to be a serious crisis, going ahead. And if you feel that you could add power to the initiative, you could move things in terms of, say, supply demand, relief, getting food grains to us, opening up, say, corporate who can work with us, opening up channels to, say, government, then we would love to hear from you, and let's see, I mean, how much we can do. It's not going to be way too much, but at least we'll be able to offer some relief to whatever is happening out there.
Mm-hmm. Radha?
Yeah, I believe that there is room for a very diverse set of people in any initiative like this. And like what Sana mentioned, the more the merrier. And there is a lot that needs to be done. What the government is doing is not enough, and is not going to be enough. The situation is not going to significantly improve in the next 2 months. or the next 4 months or the 6 months. It's going to remain as bad. And and this is where I feel that citizens have an opportunity to pick up a fight
Right.
and give whatever they've got. And I believe everybody can contribute to this.
Mhm. So before we open up for audience questions, is there anything, is there an end note that you guys would like to add something before we open up? Any point that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would like to say the power of crowd is unimaginable. So we should all come together and help whoever we can in whichever way we can. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Community drives wonders. So I guess we can open up for questions from the audience. I guess you guys can type out your questions and we'll get to them. Yeah, we actually already have 2 questions in the chat.
Okay.
We have a question from Jeff Sagar asking, what are the ways you see the community bring an impact? How can we contribute locally?
I would like to take a stab at this and then would like to see other panelists add. One simple way in which you can work locally and contribute is by collecting demand. Just understanding who are the needy people in your area, how much help they need, and in what form, and help a platform like us or with other supplier, help connect this demand uh, to a platform like us which is connected to other suppliers. So I think that is one very simple thing that you can do locally. If you would like to work more, I think what you can also do locally is, say, work with a local corporator and uh, uh, and and figure out a source of food with the governments which you can supply to your community again locally. In fact, the platform that we have built with Reap Benefit is allowed is focused on just allowing this kind of demand collection and supply fulfillment, and that's the model we want to work with.
Mhm. I'm sorry, I'd just like to come back to that again. The platform which you built with Reap Benefits, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So the platform is a map-based platform. It has got 3 or 4 very simple functions. The first function is that it allows you to go to a map of your locality and find a needy community there, whose details you can enter in the map. So let's say you've run into this was something that I was doing some time back. There were a lot of migrant workers who would come to the local police station for going back to their hometowns and getting the permission. So going to an area like that would always give you a set of needy people who wanted food and some kind of help. So I would go there, collect their requirements, and put them in the form. Uh, so the form asks you a few simple questions about those people. You can add that, and that requirement gets registered and in the form of a pin which points to the area where they are from. So that is one simple task that you can do. The second task that you can do is register yourself as a volunteer, in which case then you register yourself and then you can go to the pin where there is demand and click on the details of the pin. You will see who is the needy person, what are their contact details, and what help they need, and you can help them get that need fulfilled. The third help that you can do is you can find help givers in your area. So let us say there are NGOs working in your area, or there is a government professional in your area who is helping coordinate supplies of food. Then you can map their details on the map. So essentially, with these 3 different tasks, this creates a map of people who need help, people who can arrange for help, and 3 people who are ready to coordinate as volunteers to ensure that the help giver and the needy are connected. So that's what the overall platform does.
Mhm. Thank you, Radha. Yeah, the next question we had was from Priya. How will these initiatives help in our future? I think you guys have covered parts of it, but maybe you can emphasize on some 3 major points.
First thing first, I'm assuming Priya is a student right now. Okay, is it? So is this coming from a student or is this? I just need clarity so I can ensure that I have a very focused reply and.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Priya is a student.
So I think we definitely have internships, which can be taken up with each of our partners, right? So internships or volunteering opportunities. This could be a part of the Startups versus COVID. Radha has shared that you can definitely, go and definitely volunteer your time and energy with some of the nonprofits out there in terms of how it's going to benefit your future. One thing I've always realized is experience counts a lot. So I'm just cutting through all the things and just having a very frank conversation over here. If, as a student, you're looking at an internship opportunity or a volunteering opportunity, it's all about the kind of experience that you've had in terms of facing a challenge and how you were able to contribute to that challenge, right? And that's what any of the good people would look like. So would look at, for example, say the corporate or say the if you're looking at education opportunities, all these things. If you demonstrate to them that you actually worked on a challenge which was pretty much out there, and you were able to contribute somehow to it, it does make a lot of difference. So speaking very specifically about opportunities of say volunteering or interning with us, these are opportunities where it's not something which will be very light. You'll definitely have the opportunity to really work on your capabilities, work on new skills and challenges, because you operate like a startup. You'll have a lot of responsibility and trust which is there, so you'll be given the free hand to really go out and make things happen. So that's what I would share, is an opportunity for students out there. We are looking at a challenge. If you feel that you're up to the challenge and you feel that you can contribute meaningfully, we would be happy to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. I think we can move on to the next question, which is Pragati asks, so how can we work with any one company or all four? What is the selection process? So I think they're talking about onboarding, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you can work with the collaborative as a group. It is entirely up to you if you would like to work with any one of the companies that any of us represent. You can do that. You can also work with the collaborative, that is the food initiative within Startups versus COVID, where you can work with all four of us and other people as well in the group, and work on the food problem in general. Instead of working, say, with Udyam on the food problem, you would be working on the overall food problem. And that's how it would look like. I would really like Mons, Sana, and Aditi to add to this.
No, I'm good. I think
Yeah, I'm also good. It's like we all have the same goal to provide food to needy people. So if you work with different organization or with this initiative, the main goal of us is actually the same. So it doesn't matter if if it's about an internship letter, so you can get from other organization and from the same as well. So I think yeah,
Thank
if
you.
it's about the process of how we can just enroll for that and about each and everything, I think once you should put something on I mean at the end of this whole session, so that students may get to know how they can just join and how they just can initiate with the thing.
Sure thing. Uh, I think we have Nayan's coordinates. Nayan City is one of the young leader interns at my firm. If we have Nayan's coordinates with you, we'll be more than happy to take in specific queries for each of the organizations that you want to work with, and we would be
Yeah,
happy to
we
assist
have Nayans and Radhika as well, like from my story also.
Okay, I think we can move to the next question. Salil Naik asks, how can students contribute to such initiatives? I think you have already answered that, but is there any way specifically a student can make a difference?
So I am myself a student. I'm running an NGO in the last year of my college. I started this NGO, and just how I met, there's a goal of mine to help the society anyway. So it's just that, just add with such people who are doing good to the society, just as I did. I just joined with this group of people who are doing good to them, and I just started my this thing with volunteering. I did give my part in volunteering and then planning about the things, then preparing with the demand side and the supply side, and that's how we are working on. So I think I mean Radha has already told us what are the steps you can just add, and with your volunteering part, I guess. Right?
I think I'll just add one more thing. We've had some incredible, young leaders come on board as interns for DF Consulting. So one of the young leaders, what they did was they were also able to connect with, a lot of NSS societies to map out the demand part of it. So there's no limitation. I mean, as long as you feel that, you can help out, say, and this was not an idea which was conceived originally by us. So, I mean, we just happened to say, okay, what is it? This is the challenge we're looking at. We're looking at demand, we're looking at supply. How can we, go about doing things? And so don't limit, uh, don't put limitations on yourself simply because you think that you're a student right now. There's multiple ways if you are really willing to go out and, make things happen and, help people. So a lot of things you can do.
Thank you. Mr. Babu S asks, how can we collaborate with you guys? And also on the same point, people, students who are interested in internships who are with us right now, how can they reach out to you guys? Is there any link that they can go to or any email that to whom they can
Yeah, I
reach
think
out?
Nayan's coordinates should be there with everyone. I'm assuming if they've signed up. If not, just put in saying that, if someone doesn't have Nayan Setia's coordinates, just let us know, because I think, that's a direct connect to the group where, you can reach out to us. Otherwise, personally, I'm at at the rate of Mons Ibrahim on all platforms, and pretty much accessible. So Twitter, LinkedIn, it's pretty much easy to, reach out. It's not a worry at all.
We will all post our coordinates here once the meeting is over, so that it will be handy for anyone who wants to reach out.
Okay. We have Sanya Gupta asking, how can one encourage others to work for the underprivileged ones? Because majority of people at least interested to be any kind of help to others during this pandemic. Sorry, I'll just reread that. Because majority of people are least interested to be of any help to others during this pandemic. So how do you encourage yourself to work for the underprivileged ones?
So should I go first?
Sure.
So I always go by the path of least resistance, right? I mean, don't waste time where, you don't have to convince anyone. You just get started and, get working with like-minded people, and you don't have to look towards others. You don't have to, get inspire others, nothing at all. You just do what you have to do. You find more like-minded people, and, you keep making things happen. Uh, you know, no one, we don't have the burden of, encouraging anyone or inspiring anyone. So if you feel that you would like to get started, just come join us and we can get started, and you don't have to worry about others that much.
Also, if you want to get started and you think that you are alone and you want to get started, there are a lot of communities online where you may find like-minded people. So it doesn't necessarily need to come from your own friend circle. And once you start, I think your friends will also join you after seeing your work and getting inspired by you. So I mean, we're not born with 10 people, right? You're born alone and you die alone. So it's always good to start alone, and then people will join you. That's how it has been any which ways. So yeah.
Mhm. So I guess we can move on to the next question. Mohammed asks, how can a professional help in this? You guys have already covered parts of this, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would like to add something to this. So, Mohammed, I'm also a professional. Udyam's core work is not in the food domain, or in any of the domains that the Startups versus COVID group has been working in. The way I have been working is by volunteering part of my time for this. And using whatever professional skills I have in my full-time job, bringing those same skills to this venture. Uh, I believe that is the same approach you can use. Figure out what are your skills, carve out some time for the venture, and dedicate those skills to the venture.
How can a student convince their family members to allow work in this field during the lockdown situation? I think that's a very interesting question. Sana, would you maybe like to take this up since you went out during the lockdown
Okay,
being a
yeah.
student?
So it's actually a very genuine question. How could we do work like as in team? So basically, there are two ways. Either if you're like living in a nearby zone where a demand, comes up. So I think if we are helping someone in a positive way, I think our parents should support us if we are in a nearby area, right? Otherwise, we can just stay at home. We can find out people on phones and on from our known us that someone is in need of food, and I can through that we can cover the supply part as well. That this person is in need of food. Can you help that person through that way? And for the volunteering part, I think rather we have this other section where any volunteer is there in your nearby zone will comes up with that particular need, and he'll gonna just make up
Yes,
that demand from your
yes,
side. So you
yes,
can just do your part by sitting at your home, and you're helping people as well.
yes. So while if you can step out and convince your parents to step out, that's great. But even if you cannot, you can start with working from home and eventually figure out a way of stepping out.
And there's a second option as well. It's about promoting such things, because as I said, as more as people we reach out, the more demand supply we can cover up. So if you can just promote it, promote this thing socially on your social handles to your relatives or family or friends, this will gonna help from that as well.
Moving on to the next question, Gitika asks, is this limited to Delhi? What all places can we help for? I think she's talking about the initiative as a whole and the pilot
Yeah,
program which you guys are running with respect to the
yeah,
food group.
yeah. We have a good partner collaboration in Delhi as well as in Mumbai. These are the two places where we are partnering as of now. We can start in Bangalore. At this point, these are the three locations. Mons, please feel free to add.
So Geetika, again, I mean, like, are you a student? Are you part of a relief organization? If you could just, type that in, it'll help share a more focused answer and, because we're looking at supply partners. If you're part of an organization which is actively involved in relief, we would love to get more pilots started. We would love to have you use our platform, and take the pilot to that to your particular state where you want to make it work. If you're a student, then again, this is not limited to places, but obviously there's a process how we're looking at it in terms of ensuring we have enough supply partners, whichever regions or states we go to ensure that we're able to effectively, take care of demands that come our way. So I know for sure it's going to be a bit ambiguous, but that's how you can go about it. It's not limited to one region. We're looking at more supply partners. We're looking at more government partners to come forward, and there will be opportunities.
What's your opinion on Unlock One? Uh, is this easy for us to go out, or has it made the situation even more worse?
Should I? So देखो यार, whatever little I personally have understood is this virus is going to stay for some time, right? And unless and until we have a vaccine for it, you are not safe. It's as simple as that. And even if the vaccine comes about, there are two conditions to it. It has to be affordable. It has to be accessible. Affordable, everyone knows. Accessible in India, can you get it in time? So until that happens, if you're abiding by the generic unspoken rules which are there, which is wear a mask and practice social distancing, try to really take care of yourself. I think you should be okay. But otherwise, we this is not something where an unlock means that you go back to how things were before the coronavirus hit us. So that's my specific limited understanding, and yeah.
Radha, Sana, would you like to add to that?
So I think Mons is justified.
Yeah. Yeah, I would suggest that you need to evaluate risk from your end, right? If there are people who are vulnerable in your family, then you need to be all the more careful. Uh, but if you have, essential activities that you need to do, then you need to figure out a way of doing those as well. I think that's what Unlock One is about.
Amrit Shenava asks, how can I help remotely? I don't reside in India. Radha partly answered that, but would anyone like to elaborate further?
Nayan, who has helped coordinate this entire initiative, can also tell you that a lot of, or actually all of this entire coordination of getting this webinar pulled together and marketing about it and getting all you guys on this platform has been almost entirely remote. Uh, so, so there is, and all of this could have been done from any country. Frankly, as long as you can figure out a way to talk to people, you can work. So, I don't see a challenge. Feel free to reach out to us about what you would like to contribute to, and we can find a way.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
I just had one point. If you're not in India and you happen to be in a, say, country where the currency arbitrage is such that, Indian rupees is cheaper to whichever currency in your specific country of residence right now, there are opportunities in fundraising where you can effectively stretch each and every that currency unit which you have in your current nation or country country of residence. For example, if in the US a dollar will help much much more than a single rupee. So that's something where if you're looking at we will work on a couple of things, and if they go forward, we will open it up to everyone, where fundraising initiatives can have a massive effect, especially if you're chipping in from abroad. And other opportunities are, I mean, anyways, there if you want, say, to your organization to chip in, we can figure out ways, not to worry at all.
Thank you, Mons. I think this can be our last question. We do have a couple of minutes. Dikshit asked, is it easy if a vaccine comes as people are more free to go out? So I guess to rephrase what Dikshit said, I think he wants to ask if, when can we expect a vaccine? I think that's the major question. So what do you guys think?
I have no idea.
Okay, should I?
Yeah, sure.
So there was a theory that we would look at herd immunity as one of the ways to get safe from this pandemic. But the worry right now is we don't know about. So supposedly, say even if someone gets all well, recovers from coronavirus attack and everything, we don't know how long the immunity stays and how strong that immunity is. It could very well be the case that you could be an asymptomatic carrier and spread this to your family members. So unless and until the vaccine legit arrives in the market, it's affordable and accessible. I would suggest treat this as a short-term lifestyle change in terms of how you really want to go about things. This will ensure that you stay around for some more time.
Thank you so much for doing this, guys. I personally learned quite a bit, and I'm motivated more than ever to do something more. We have tried our best with coronatracker.in, wherein we built a dashboard to track the spread of the virus. And just for the audience as well, if you guys are building something related to coronavirus, some kind of web app or some kind of app in general, you guys can reach out to us on our team page, and we'll be more than willing to help you guys. And on an end note, would you guys like to add something before we wrap this up?
Just look forward to more people joining us, and just spread the word and chip in from your side. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sana, Aditi. Yeah, and do share about your experience at this webinar and what you learned on social media, and tag us via a hashtag #PaidBharona in Corona, which is which is close to our hearts because that's our mission. So do tag us on your social media post with Paid Corona in Corona and no child sleeps and no one sleeps hungry. If you guys are, I think we can end this now. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and do reach out to Nayan if you're a student, or do reach out I think we can share our coordinates. Do reach out to Radha at radha@udyam.org, to Mons @monsabraham. Sana, where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at the rate Srivastava Sana.
Okay,
Yeah,
@Srivastava, Sana for Sana.
yeah, I just
Aditi,
started up.
Yeah, I've left my
Aditi,
email. I've left my email address aditi@gocrowdera.com, and we are GoCrowdera on all platforms.
cool. Thank you very much. I guess we can end this now, and do show us some love on social media, and do reach out to us, and we can work out something. And definitely, we need all hands-on help on this. Thank you so much for joining in, everyone. And I guess we can end this now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shrey. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Shrey.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.